The air inside the New York political summit was thick with tension. Cameras flashed like lightning, reporters jostled for position, and whispers of rivalry buzzed through the grand ballroom. But no one expected what would happen next. Not the audience, not the organizers, and certainly not former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Because when Tulsi Gabbard walked through those double doors, she wasn't just walking into a room. She was walking straight into a storm. Tulsi, dressed in a simple navy suit, carried herself with quiet confidence. She wasn't there for drama or attention. She was there to speak about unity, truth, and the importance of integrity in leadership. Yet, from the moment she arrived, she could feel the cold stares, the murmurs, and the undercurrent of hostility. In that room of polished politicians and power players, she was the outsider and the one who dared to question the establishment. As Tulsi took her seat in the second row, a sudden commotion stirred near the front. Hillary Clinton, surrounded by aides and security, had just entered. The applause that followed was loud but forced, the kind of cheer that comes from obligation, not admiration. Hillary smiled, waved, and as her eyes swept across the audience, they froze. Her smile faltered for a fraction of a second. There, sitting calmly among the crowd, was Tulsi Gabbard. The two women had a history, one built on tension, misunderstanding, and very public accusations. Hillary had once insinuated that Tulsi was a Russian asset, a comment that cut deep and shook Tulsi's faith in the system she had served. But Tulsi never retaliated with hate. Instead, she chose dignity, truth, and compassion as her weapons. And that's what made her presence at this event, an event celebrating female unity in leadership, so powerful, and so threatening. Whispers grew louder. Hillary leaned toward her chief of staff, her expression sharp and unreadable. "What is she doing here?" she muttered. Within moments, a security officer approached Tulsi and quietly asked her to step outside. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Tulsi looked up at him, calm but firm. "Is there a reason?" she asked softly. "Ma'am," he said, hesitating, "I was told this area is restricted." Tulsi's voice didn't rise. "Restricted to whom?" "I was invited to speak." The officer shifted uncomfortably. Everyone could see what was happening now. Cameras were already rolling. Hillary's expression hardened as she pretended to focus on her notes, but her discomfort was clear. Tulsi stood slowly, the entire room watching. "If someone wants me to leave," she said, her voice steady but resonant, "they can tell me directly." The silence that followed was deafening. Hillary looked up, and for the first time, their eyes met. There was no hate in Tulsi's gaze, only strength and calm resolve. "You don't belong here," Hillary finally said, her tone cool and dismissive. "This is an event for leaders who understand the stakes of national integrity." Tulsi took a breath, then stepped forward, not aggressively, but with a grace that made every camera lock on her. "With respect, Secretary Clinton," she replied, "integrity isn't about titles or power. It's about courage, the courage to tell the truth even when it costs you everything." The room was frozen. You could hear the clicks of cameras capturing every second of the moment. Hillary's expression tightened, but Tulsi continued. "You can remove me from this room," Tulsi said, "but you can't remove the truth. You can silence voices, but you can't silence the people behind them. I didn't serve my country to please politicians. I served to protect the freedom that allows us to speak, to question, and to stand up even when it's inconvenient." The crowd shifted. Some people began to nod. Others applauded softly, unsure if they should. Then the applause grew louder, echoing across the ballroom. It wasn't the sound of defiance, it was the sound of awakening. Hillary's security hesitated, unsure what to do. Tulsi smiled gently at them and said, "It's all right. I'll go." She picked up her bag, turned toward the crowd, and gave a small wave. "Remember," she said, "unity doesn't mean obedience. It means honesty." She walked out as the applause continued, now thunderous and unapologetic. Even some of Hillary's closest allies were standing. The cameras followed Tulsi as she exited into the hallway, not defeated, but triumphant in the quietest way possible. Outside, a young journalist caught up to her, breathless. "Miss Gabbard, that was incredible. How did you stay so calm when they tried to remove you?" Tulsi smiled, looking out at the New York skyline. Calm doesn't mean weak, she said softly. And silence doesn't mean surrender. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is walk away, but walk away standing tall. That clip went viral within hours. Millions watched as Tulsi's composure and courage spread across the internet, sparking a wave of conversations about truth, power, and integrity in politics. People saw not just a politician but a soldier, a woman, and a leader who refused to compromise her principles for acceptance. And as for Hillary, the backlash was swift and brutal. Commentators debated whether she had gone too far, whether she'd revealed a deeper fear that voices like Tulsi's could no longer be silenced by influencer legacy. Weeks later, at a public forum, Tulsi spoke again. She didn't mention Hillary by name, but her message was clear: true leadership isn't about control, it's about courage. And courage isn't loud, it's steady. It's the willingness to stand in the fire, knowing it might burn you, but doing it anyway, because truth matters more than comfort. The audience rose to their feet in a standing ovation. Tulsi's journey from being publicly attacked to walking out of that ballroom with her dignity intact became a symbol of strength for millions who felt unseen, unheard, and silenced by power.